Up 4 games with the Kansas City Royals. The Astros having it their way to this point as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. 6-0. Colby Rasmus has launched the game's only dinger. And here in the 6th inning, Jason Castro will lead it off. Jason is 1 for 2. That hit a triple, and it drove in a run in the 4th. Castro drove in number 5 and then came around to score number 6 for the Stros. Houston with a 3-run first, a 3-run 4th. Chien-Ming Wang, second pitcher of the night for Kansas City, has a 2-0 count on Castro. This is a guy you'd love to see get hot right about now. With that hit tonight, the batting average at 111. Hits it in the air right field. Coming on and making the catch right about shoe top height is the right fielder Fuentes, and out number 1.
Fuentes got fooled on that one a little bit.
I think he thought that ball might have been hit harder than it was.
I think you're exactly right.
So Castro retired. Back to the top now with Jose Altuve, who is 2 for 2, make that 2 for 3 on the night. Also has stolen a couple of bags and scored a run. Wong falls behind. With the 2 hits tonight, Jose Altuve has the batting average up to 259. Hey, you had to see that home run he hit yesterday leading off the game in Milwaukee. I mean, it was legit big-time bomb.
Well, I couldn't believe I saw the StatCast on it, and I had to read it twice because StatCast has taken it to the level where everybody wants to know, I think, on how far do you think it would have gone kind of situation, and they had posted
back down to earth, right?
Yeah, where it would have landed, yes. And it said 448 feet, I want to believe, if I recall.
I believe it. And
that's incredible.
That could be shortchanged. He was way back there in that second tank in Milwaukee.
Pardon the pun.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big-time bomb from a little man.
Little man has a 1-2 count. And this little man has done some big things already in his career. Just 26 years of age. He's already won a batting title. He's led the league in hits twice and picks up another one, number 3 on the night. So Altuve aboard. And this is yesterday.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy. Man, he threw that thing right into the barrel. How about putting the entire body for Jose Altuve into that swing? That's back in the second. That's underneath Bernie's tower out there in left field.
Saw him today, and I kind of pointed at the bicep, and he went, ooh. He made that face that says,
when
yeah,
you know you got it.
Yeah, he wasn't going to hold back and play coy, saying, you know, I missed a little bit of that one. He said, I got it all.
I love it.
So Altuve aboard. That running game could come into play again. Again, 2 stolen bases tonight for Jose. George Springer trying to find it right now. He's grounded out 3 times tonight. The Astros now with 10 hits on the board.
That'll give us a chance to look at our Ford spray chart on George Springer, and this is last year's home runs. Red dot fastball, blue dot off speed, but you can see he's got that power up the middle from gap to gap. You see left center, right center with those home runs, and that's where I think George should really focus. We see him swinging hard, but I'd like to see him swinging hard up the middle of the field.
Now, of course, George had that big swing against the Yankees, the grand slam, and it looked really big at the time. Yankees had jumped on top, and Springer got his Astros teammates right back in the ballgame. It wouldn't work out that night. That's the kind of swing you look to see from George. But I'm with you. To me, batting practice is a big key to set up what happens on the night for you. Now, you can stand and hit a ton of home runs, and it may help you, but the likelihood is it might make you start moving a little early.
I agree. And if you're in the big leagues, there's a good chance you have the ability to hit home runs. And in batting practice, maybe a little bit extra ability to hit home runs because you're getting cookies every pitch. And I always go back to those guys who are potential Hall of Famers or a Hall of Famers. When I watched a guy like Tony Gwynn take BP, he was going up the middle the other way.
Up the middle. There's your base hit for George Springer. Altuve not even a thought about stopping at second base. Runners at first and third, one out. And it brings up the big man, Carlos Correa.
And to get back to the point, all the good hitters I've seen really fight to create that swing that goes up the middle. They adjust on the pitch, but you're creating a swing in a stable place going up the middle. And this was a great job by George Springer, getting the barrel on it, not trying to get too big and driving it up the middle. More base runners for this ball club lead to great things because 1 through 9, these guys have pop.
And I'm glad to see George swing hard and try to hit the ball hard.
Yep.
Not in the endeavor to necessarily try to pull everything.
Completely agree.
Correa takes a strike on the outside edge. Altuve at third, Springer at first. Great speed on. Correa 2 for 3 on his night. Has doubled and singled, driven in a run, and scored a run. I think there's a tendency at times, maybe for me, maybe for a lot of people, to think as Correa goes, so will go the offense for the Astros. But there are so many guys that are capable of having big seasons.
And Correa is one of those guys that's going to be that consistent force throughout the season. But there's enough, like we talked about, that pop in the lineup to make up for those days where Correa may not have it.
Loops one foul down the right side. 1-2 the count. One of the things, and it is just one of the arrows in the quiver for Correa, is with 2 strikes, he might even be a better hitter than he is prior.
And that's because he doesn't have that fear of getting beat. He likes to see the ball. He's not afraid to see it a long time. And like you just saw in that last swing, kind of fight it off a little bit. It was a gutsy take from some of the pitches we've seen called here in the last inning or so.
That is a gutsy take. And Carlos has taken a few pitches already this year that make you wonder.
It fooled the catcher.
Yeah.
There's crazy movement on that.
Well, that might be a little bit of that early look from Chen-Ming Wang. Boy, he had one of the game's great hard sinkers.
Man, yeah.
Fighting it off, Correa. Will Correa be told, whether during the game or after the game tonight, that he took a pitch that could have been called a strike 3?
You know what? I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if Carlos goes back and watches all the video. If he goes back and watches the video, I'm sure he'll understand that that was more than borderline.
But that's not necessarily a directive from the hitting coach type of thing.
I don't believe so. At least in my experience. I played with guys that there's usually video rooms right behind the dugout that players have access to go look at. I only went up and looked if I thought it was a borderline call that I got punched out on, so I could have an idea of my zone, the umpire's zone, and it actually was fuel for me to go back up my next at bat and say, dude, you blew that one.
There are a lot of hitters, in my opinion, that through the years have not been honest with themselves. I think you'd have to be honest about things and say, you know what, I might have taken one too close right there. Hit on the ground, through into right field. That'll plate Altuve. Digging to third is Springer. The throw is in time to get it. So it'll be an RBI single, making it 7-0 Houston. Thrown out 9-5 on the play is George Springer, second out of the inning. And Carlos Correa moves up on the fielder's choice. So Correa now with 3 hits on the night.
Great piece of hitting on that sinker going the other way. And I'm not sure if Springer was trying to draw that throw or felt that he could challenge it. We talked about challenging the rookie Fuentes out there. This will be something that they'll put in the memory bank. But there was no intention of getting that runner trying to score from third base on that base hit. His intention was to get that runner, George Springer, going all the way to third base, and proved out to be an out.
Will be Rasmus 2 for 3 with a home run and a bunt single. Yes, took advantage of the shift and dropped one on the third base side.
And take account the score.
Yeah.
George knows it's going to be 7-0 as soon as that runner crosses home plate. Why not challenge that guy for the second out, as opposed if it was the first or third out, he may not have gone.
How about that's not all George Springer either. That's Gary Pettis being aggressive down at third base.
Shoot, it could be Rich Dower over there saying, challenge this kid. If they get a ball in the ground in the outfield, go for it.
As we rate arms around the league, I'd say in looking at the youngster in right field, I didn't see pure Petro coming from right, but I saw an accurate throwing arm.
And accuracy makes up for that lack of arm strength.
7-0 Houston here in the 6th inning, and Rasmus trying to add to it. It's tied up, fouls it. Well, it's kind of like we have a red light on Colby Rasmus. He doesn't have the great heat coming from the outfield, but he'll hit his cutoff man and he'll get some assists.
And that's what third base coaches are looking at. That's scouting reports tell you how aggressive is this guy to the ball. Is he good enough to glove it cleanly and come up throwing? Because that's a good way to make up for that less velocity that we've seen everybody tracking these days.
Check swing, foul back. I managed a couple of years in the minor leagues, and when you do, you coach third base. Biggest thing that shut me down was an outfielder that really charged hard.
Well, and I remember being taught to go first to third. When you were making that run and you saw the ball in the outfield, you were watching to see which guy rushed after that ball. If he didn't have the ball in his glove by the time I got to second base, I was going.
Pitch gets on by. It's called strike 3. And so Rasmus is thrown out down at first base. And that'll do it. The Astros add one more run in the 6th inning and lead it 7-0. As we come back for the 7th, Bill Brown will be back in place with Jeff Blum.